All right, so welcome guys to Let's Talk Cinema, episode 11. We're already 11 episodes in, which is pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure I said this last week too, but honestly, it's crazy that we've been talking about movie news for almost 3 months now, almost 12 weeks. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Anyways, so we're back this week. I am on my own for tonight's episode. For this week's episode, I should say. Greg has been really busy lately, and he wasn't able to do it tonight. And I didn't feel like we should postpone it for another day, as it is already Tuesday, and we try to keep on schedule here with Mondays for Let's Talk Cinema. But anyways, it is what it is. So I'm gonna be doing this one alone. Probably a little bit of a shorter episode this week. Also, there's just not as much news this week. Not a lot of huge topics to discuss. Of course, the Oscars are coming next weekend, so that's going to be an exciting time for both Greg and I. I know that he's really excited as well. So yeah, we're both really looking forward to that next weekend, and that should be pretty awesome. We definitely will probably have our show on Monday then, and then of course we'll talk all about the Oscars, and that'll probably be the main focus of the episode on Monday. So anyways, so there it is. So I will be alone, but yeah, definitely some notable stuff to still go over here. Of course, the kind of focus of this one, or as you saw in the spotlight, the thumbnail of this one will be the Frozen 2 trailer. So I know it came out about 5 days ago or something like that, but we just missed talking about it last week, and so I'll definitely start off talking about that. But first, before we get to any of the news topics, of course, we'll go over our box office report, as we always do. And so something to note, obviously, about this box office weekend was that it was a 4-day weekend domestically here, with President's Day taking place yesterday, and so that is why there will be 4-day numbers for this weekend instead of 3, so it is a little bit more inflated, right, than last week, for example. So anyways, here, without any further ado, are the box office numbers from this weekend. Alright, so these are the top 6 performers from this weekend. Number 1, we got Alita Battle Angel. No surprise here, right? A lot of people kind of suspected this one. So it come in at $33.5 million. And then number 2, the Lego Movie 2, the second part, comes in at $27.7 million. Number 3 is Isn't It Romantic? New one out this weekend with $16,644,000. Number 4 was What Men Want at $12.2 million. Number 5, Happy Death Day 2 You, the sequel to Happy Death Day, comes in at $11 million. And number 6, to round out the top 6, is Cold Pursuit, that comes in at $6.9 million. Almost 7. And then a couple other ones. Number 7, I believe, was The Upside. Glass was number 8. And I think Aquaman was number 10, somewhere in there. The Prodigy, number 9, I believe. So, anyways, those are the top 6, though. The ones from kind of outside of this top 6 could just go down from there, obviously. But yeah, so those are our top 6 performers. The box office, just looking at these numbers, actually looks like a pretty good one compared to definitely some other weekends that we've had so far in February, and the end of January even. So, it does look pretty good, but there are a few things to note, of course, about this weekend, as usual. All right, so let's get into a couple of those things now. So first, the 3-day President's Day weekend last year saw the top 12 movies gross over $270 million, the bulk of which was due to the over $202 million 3-day opening for Black Panther. Right? So Black Panther accounting for nearly 74% of the combined 12 gross. So, yes, last year's weekend was so much significantly more money at the box office, but they also had Black Panther, who made $202 million in a 3-day weekend, right? A crazy feat. This year didn't have such a monster release, and while expectations were muted, the top 12s combined only for $109.1 million, which makes for the worst 3-day President's Day weekend since 2004. 2004, so 15 years. This is the worst President's Day weekend box office. Pretty crazy stuff, but as they say, the expectations were not that high for this. And just think, I mean, if Alita Battle Angel had not moved to this weekend from back in the December, kind of crowded couple of weeks there that they were in originally, I believe it was December 21st. Imagine if they didn't move now to the President's Day weekend. And we'd be, 36 million, or so I think that's what I said, right? 36 million, below. So it's kind of crazy, actually, to think of, what if that didn't even come in there. But anyways, so expectations weren't that high. We didn't have any huge blockbuster movies. Honestly, Alita Battle Angel was the closest to that at all of a blockbuster movie this weekend. And, of course, we didn't have a Black Panther this weekend either. There was no, big Marvel ones or anything like that out. The closest one, of course, is Captain Marvel, which is coming shortly. But anyways, so that is, unfortunately, the result of this weekend. But then Fox's Alita Battle Angel topped the weekend box office with ease, outperforming expectations of around 30 million. Those were the estimates going in. Of course, despite the film's overperformance this weekend, it still carries a lofty $170 million price tag, with sources suggesting it needs to gross between 500 and 550 million globally to just break even, for the studio, which at this point looks nearly impossible, as Box Office Mojo claims. So, I mean, wow, right? Just wow. That's all you have to say to that one. So the 170 million budget, and then 500 to 550 to break even. And so that means obviously the marketing, advertising, putting it in all these, theaters internationally. Again, more marketing, more advertising internationally. And they've done really well internationally, though. So here we go. Alita debuted in 11 markets last weekend and expanded to 86 total markets this weekend. And this is all international, delivering 56.1 million for an overseas cum that now stands at 94.3 million. Note, it still hasn't released in China or Japan yet. That will be happening February 22nd, so this weekend. Wow, right? So obviously the international appeal is there for Alita. It's, I guess you could call it anime. I'm not sure if that's the kind of proper terminology. I'm not all kind of into the anime and animation styles like that, but I think some people can categorize that as anime, and so of course that has a huge market in places like China, Japan, South Korea, I think, and tons of others. I mean, don't get me wrong, France, England, of course, all those. So internationally, they've done really, really well. 94.3 million now that they're at. And just 56 this weekend. And so you don't see that a lot with domestic box office weekends opening. You don't see a lot of times that international has significantly more money the opening weekends, but that's the case here. So anyways, Alita Battle Angel is doing well so far. So they had about so what was it? It was about 36 or 37 million that I said, and then plus 56.1 million this weekend. And so that's pretty impressive for them. But as Box Office Mojo says, they probably won't even break even with this film. So we'll have to see if they, maybe kind of try to expand a universe, or do a sequel or something like that to kind of get that money back and obviously build that name for themselves from this one, and then move on after that. So just kind of an interesting thing there that that their budget is that high for this movie. So then Warner Brothers also landed in third place with the release of Isn't It Romantic, starring Rebel Wilson, of course from Pitch Perfect. A lot of people know her from that, at least. The film generated an estimated 14.2 million over the 3-day and finished with 16.6 million, as I said, through the 4 days. The film received a B Cinema score and has a 68% currently on Rotten Tomatoes. So, to be honest, a 68% pretty high for the trailers that I saw and just the type of movie that it is with Rebel Wilson. I thought that 68% of Rotten Tomatoes was actually pretty high. The B Cinema score as well, pretty high in my opinion. So, yeah, I think this film is great. I thought that was pretty impressive that they came in with 16.6 million for this 4-day weekend. Of course, it was President's Day. Maybe this is a movie that's, maybe kind of geared to the market of people who might be going out on a day off to see a movie like this. Kind of an adult comedy, if you will, for this one. And yeah, I mean, not too surprising here at all. But I thought the rating and a little bit of the box office performance was pretty impressive. So Rebel Wilson can definitely carry a movie on her own, as we see here with Isn't It Romantic? All right, lastly, rounding out the top 5 is Universal's release of Happy Death Day 2U, the sequel, right? Which brought in $11 million for the 4-day weekend, or about $11 million. After opening on Wednesday, this would give the horror sequel a 15+ million 6-day start, which is shy of the $20 million expectation heading into its opening. So we're looking at 15 to 20, which was the expectation, right, or the prediction. So Happy Death Day to You received a B Cinema score matching its predecessor. And note, the first film opened with $26 million over just 3 days opening. And the sequel here is looking at just over 15 for 6 days. And so obviously, as Box Office Mojo says in the article that they put together as well with this one, is that, of course sequels are not going to do as well as the original, especially with this kind of movie where it's kind of a high concept type of movie, and especially the concept that it does work with the Groundhog Day type of thing. Obviously, it's been done before. We've seen it, done. And the only reason that they got a sequel is because they did it really well in the first one and got a lot of success from it. But obviously, it's going to get a little old, after a while. So the sequel kind of drops off here. But I think the film, it said it only had a $9 million budget, so it's already made money, and it can only go up from here. So, and next weekend, we don't have much else opening except for How to Train Your Dragon 3, which I'm predicting for sure will take the cake for next weekend with probably a big opening weekend. But other than that one, there's no other big openings, so I think Happy Death Day to You still has a pretty big window here for next weekend to see if they can get some more money there for that one. But anyway, so that just about does it there for the box office report. So not too many surprises here at all. I think kind of just went as people expected. And for sure the 4-day weekend added some excitement, I guess, to that one. And as I said, for next weekend, How to Train Your Dragon 3, one of the only, I think it actually is the only big studio release next weekend, which is actually kind of odd because we've had at least 2 or 3 the last few weekends. But yeah, I don't know what the exact predictions are for How to Train Your Dragon 3, but I could see 40 to 50 million next weekend. That would be my estimate for that one. Again, yeah, I'm not sure what it's tracking, but that's kind of my prediction for that one. So we'll have to see if it comes in kind of over or under that amount. So anyways, that's the box office report for you guys there. All right, so now let's get into our news topics. So we got 4 topics today, and the first one is the first trailer released for Disney's Frozen 2. So the sequel for of course, the original Frozen. All right, so I got a chance to take a look at this trailer. I will say the first Frozen, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure that I was exactly the target audience for it, although, kind of with the whole, princesses and kind of, this sister relationship type of stuff. Something that I wouldn't overly relate to. But of course, you have those, really great characters in there, of course. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying, to me, it didn't really, kind of, relate to me, I guess, or I kind of didn't, connect to it as much. But yeah, no, for sure, a very good movie, well done. Of course, the characters are all really fleshed out. You have Olaf, of course, who became a fan favorite. Sven, of course. The Moose, I guess. Yeah, the Moose. And so, yeah, I got these fan favorites, and it really did do a really good job, the first one. Like I said, fan favorites, and got a lot of popularity out of that. And the whole concept, too, was something that we hadn't really seen from a Disney animated movie, with the whole, snow and ice and all that stuff, and how that all went. And it did such a great job with the emotion, right? And able to kind of personify these characters, like Olaf, who's a snowman, right, and you know, that one scene I remember from the first one where he's melting by the fire, and you like feel for him, and so that was really great, the way they did the first one. So that being said, out of the way, Frozen number 2. So I knew that they were making a sequel, and I wasn't sure when we were gonna get a trailer. I don't believe that it said in the trailer when it is coming out. I would think that it was 2019. Obviously, they probably wouldn't release a trailer if it wasn't. And of course, there is a little bit of speculation, I think, from some people that Disney released the Frozen 2 trailer this soon, whereas they weren't actually going to, but they did because of the Aladdin trailer kind of controversy, if you will, or you know, kind of people voicing their opinions that it didn't look very good, right? A lot of backlash. So that's also to keep in mind here too. Maybe this one was an early trailer that they probably weren't going to release until a little bit later, a couple months later, but they decided to kind of, you know, distract from that Aladdin trailer. So that's something too, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one, if you buy that, or you think it was just kind of a coincidence. But anyways, so yeah, the Frozen 2 trailer, it shows a very different tone. I think everyone's saying that's seen the trailer, a very different tone from last movie. Of course, we're seeing kind of fall happen now, or at least in some of those sequences in the trailer, you know, with the leaves and the kind of different costumes that it looks like they're wearing, and yeah, I mean, it looks a lot different than the first one. Just from what it is, just from the offset, it looks a lot different. Of course, you still have, of course, Sven, you have Olaf, you have all those guys, you have, of course, Elsa, and I always forget the red-haired princess, but Elsa and oh, I'm forgetting. And then you have, of course, kind of the lumberjack guy from the first movie. So you have all these characters returning, and that's all we saw in this trailer. We did see one other character in a brief little clip there in the middle of the trailer where she's kicking leaves. It looks like a girl that's kicking leaves, and I'm not sure that we met her yet. In the first one, so she might be a new character coming in. But yeah, overly not a lot shown in this one. Basically, the first half of the trailer is seeing Elsa trying to learn or kind of teach herself along the way, you know, as she's trying to climb the waves that are coming in on the beach there. Actually, really cool animation here where she's kind of freezing the water and stepping up and up and up on the waves. That was really cool, but that's essentially the whole first half of this trailer, and then the second half is where we get look at, you know, Olaf, like I said, all our back, you know, our main characters back again for this one, but really no details of the story or the plot that they're going with at all in this trailer. Like I said, we saw a little bit of, you know, the fall and a little bit of a darker tone in this one, or a darker theme, but really no details about the plot, the antagonist for this one, really nothing, honestly. But yeah, I mean, just visually, it looked really awesome, returning to that same animation style that worked so well for them in the first one. And I did expect, you know, for a trailer, a teaser trailer, I did expect a little something, you know, dialogue from Olaf or something like that, you know, as kind of an end credit little part of it, but we didn't get that. So I'm wondering if maybe that is truthful, that they released this one a little too early, and that by now they probably don't have the dialogue and all that kind of matched up as well with the animation. Or they just weren't quite ready to show us that, right? And that's totally understandable. So anyways, just in terms of a trailer, I thought it worked well. As a first teaser trailer, I thought it worked well. But, you know, I'm definitely expecting at least 2 more trailers after this, to see more about what the story is, and, you know, what they're giving us in this one. What is it going to be that's going to make it worth to go and see, that's going to be different from the first one, right? That's all ultimately what we are missing in this one, and that's what I want to see coming up in the second Frozen. So I'm going to watch it. As I said, you know, the first one didn't speak to me as well as maybe some others. But obviously, I still recognize it's a great movie, and obviously got a lot of popularity and a lot of attention as it came out. And so, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Frozen 2. We'll have to see if they can kind of bring back what they did so well in the first one, and then, of course, add some more things for the second one to kind of freshen up a little bit. But anyways, so yeah, that's the trailer then for Frozen 2. Yeah, love to get Greg's thoughts on this one as well, because I know he actually quite liked the first Frozen movie. We were talking about that before this episode, and yeah, so we'll have to see that one. Maybe next week we'll ask him about that one. But anyways, so yeah, that's Frozen trailer. Let me know what your thoughts are of this first teaser trailer, and also, do you agree that they only released it this early to kind of distract from the Aladdin trailer backlash? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one as well. All right, so then on to our next topic, which is the Deadpool writers back out of Pirates of the Caribbean Reboot. And so this one, I'm going to be looking at the article from Collider. They have a good article on this one here. And so this news broke February 14th, so Valentine's Day, which was, I believe, Thursday. And so this was kind of, this obviously was big news back in, I think it was October, where we heard that the Deadpool writers were attached to this new project that was in development, which was a Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, which would have been kind of a prequel, I guess, about Jack Sparrow as a younger, kind of teenage Jack Sparrow, I guess, was kind of what they were going for. And so we got this news, and it was kind of big news at the time. And now, a few months later, we have this news that they're done. They backed out of the project. So, very interesting stuff here. All right, so let's get into this Collider article here. So, last October, okay, yeah, so it was October, we reported that Disney was courting Deadpool writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick to reboot the Pirates of the Caribbean. The series was waning, and even though on Stranger Tides, which was the fifth one, made over $1 billion worldwide, and Dead Man Tell No Tales managed a respectable $794 million worldwide. Or wait, no, on Stranger Tides was the fourth one. Yeah, Dead Man Tell No Tales was the fifth one. That's my bad. A respectable $794 million worldwide. There was still the matter of Johnny Depp's fading star power and costly price tag. A reboot or semi-reboot would give the property new life and allow it to move on from Depp, even if his Captain Jack Sparrow had been the face of the franchise. But now it looks like the reboot is rudderless, as Deadline reports that Reese and Wernick have left the project. Disney's film production chief Sean Bailey was high on the Zombieland screenwriters, bringing their edge to the franchise, saying some stuff, but then, so there's a quote there. That was a noble ambition, and I applaud Bailey for angling to make pirates weird again, but it looks like it's not to be. So those writers, doesn't sound like are interested in coming on. And now the question becomes whether or not they find new writers to reboot the series, or just shelve Pirates to the indefinite, for the indefinite future. Although there's been some talk about possibly taking Pirates of the Caribbean to TV, the production costs are prohibited for such an endeavor. Nice one. Not just when it comes to shooting on water, but also probably for the VFX budget the series demands. It'd also be somewhat risky since interest in Pirates seems to be fading overall, and dumping money into a TV show doesn't seem to be a solution to that problem. So, those are the words from Collider, for that article, and, huge fan of Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. I've seen all the movies, multiple times, especially the first three multiple times. Really love the franchise, and so when I first heard about this news about the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, Pirates of the Caribbean, I think I keep saying that, Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, I was kind of disappointed, because I really do I love the fifth one to me, the just recent movie, Dead Man Tell No Tales. I thought was what did I say again? I think it was the third best movie, of the franchise. It's number, number 1 and 3 are arguable for me. So number 1, number 3 for the top 2, and then number 3, Dead Man Tell No Tales. I thought it was, definitely top 3, out of the 5 of the franchise. And as I said, it still made over $700 million worldwide. So, a lot of people are saying, interest in the franchise is faded and all this stuff. But if a movie is still grossing over 700 million worldwide, and the movie itself has that quality, has a good storyline, a good plot to it, I don't know why you don't just keep making them. And you know that this is kind of a theme for a lot of franchises now is, oh, let's do a reboot, you know, let's do a live action remake or whatever, right? That's with all the Disney ones that are going on, right? Lion King and Dumbo and all these Aladdin, right? And so for this one, I just really felt like, no, you know, just keep making the same movies. And now, if you don't have a good idea for a plot line for a sixth one, you know, don't have a good enough compelling story that will make sense as a narrative, then don't do one for a little bit, right? They took a little bit of a break, obviously, before the fourth movie was made. And, you know, I'm okay with that. Take a little bit of a break before the sixth one. You know, take a year or two, honestly, and then kind of reinvent it a little bit in a sixth one. But don't do a reboot. I can't. To me, the Pirates of the Caribbean is nothing without Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. And if you're going to do a reboot where you don't have Johnny Depp as the face of the franchise anymore, I don't know how successful that is going to be, and I don't know how entertaining that will be as just a fan of the franchise. So for me, I'm okay with this news. I'm okay that the writers backed off of this one, and it sounds like the reboot idea is going to be shelved for a little bit longer here until they find someone else who is willing to come on and do it. And yeah, I mean, it's tough, you know, because it's like, as a fan, I wanted to keep seeing movies, but again, I agree. If you don't have a good idea right now, if you don't have a compelling narrative that you want to tell, or that's, you know, worth telling, then don't tell it, right? Wait a couple years, leave it on the shelf as it is right now, and then come back with a good sixth one. With Johnny Depp, with Orlando Bloom, possibly. You get Keira Knightley back. They got them both back for number 5. And yeah, but I mean, overall, I mean, number 5 was a great movie, as I said, for the franchise. And would I be okay if that was the last one? You know, maybe. You know, I thought it was, like I said, top 3. And it was a good ending. Again, brought back Orlando Bloom, brought back Keira Knightley, but it also went off with a kind of a big cliffhanger, number 5, with Davy Jones coming back possibly. So with that, I think you definitely, let's just say this, there's room there for a 6th and 7th and 8th movie. Can they do it? Yes. I think it's totally possible, and I think it definitely would still make a lot of money for the studio. Now, you know, should they wait a little bit to finally, you know, really flesh out a good story and a good narrative? Yes. Right, and so anyways, so the Deadpool writers back out of this one. It looks like the Zombieland writers, who were also speculated to be in it, are not going to come on. They're not interested in this project. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know if, you know, more studios will, you know, kind of be open to this, or sorry, more writers will be open to this idea of a reboot. It is a lot of pressure, though, too. I mean, that can't be that can't be forgotten either, is that it's quite a bit of pressure if you're coming on as writers for this reboot of a huge successful franchise. That's also a lot of pressure too, and the Deadpool writers are pretty busy. Deadpool 3 is in development right now. I'm not sure how much involvement they have in that one quite yet, but yeah, so we'll have to see. Maybe they will return at some point, but for now they're gone. And to me, I'd be happy if the reboot gets shelved for a while and we get working on a 6th, and then kind of see where the series goes from there. But anyways, as a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan, I'm okay with this news. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. If you've fans of the franchise, you watch the movies, what do you think about this one? Do you think it's time for a reboot, or are you kind of like me that you want to, you know, see that shelved for a little bit longer, and let's see a 6th, let's see a 7th movie to come in the franchise, and see how those do before kind of forcing into a reboot. But anyways, love to hear your thoughts on that one, of course. All right. So now let's go on to our third topic here, which is a little bit of a short one, but still a lot to talk about, because Greg and I actually haven't really talked about this at all yet, which is the Dune movie. And of course, this one, Dune movie, gets a release date. So this one is articles from Variety here, another great article, by the way. And so, of course, this is Denis Villeneuve. I think that's how you pronounce his name there. Director, of course, of Arrival. That's the one I know the most from him, but I know he's directed big other pictures. Some people really think that he's one of the best directors right now in the industry. which I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen enough of his movies to really, have an opinion on that one. But yeah, I really liked Arrival, if that counts. Right? And anyway, so this Dune movie has been getting a lot of news about it. And like I said, we haven't really talked about it much just because there's been little things along the way. But this is actually maybe the biggest kind of news that we have. And then I'll use this as an outlet to kind of talk about all the other news that we've missed. Okay, so Dune gets November 2020 release date. All right, so Warner Brothers has scheduled science fiction film tentpole Dune for a November 20th, 2020 release in 3D and IMAX. Aquaman star Jason Momoa is currently in negotiations to join the Dune reboot with Timothée Chalamet, Javier Bardem, Rebecca Ferguson, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin, Oscar Isaac, and Zendaya. So those are the announcements that we haven't covered yet, but that cast, I mean, wow, right? We haven't seen, a top build cast like that. I don't know. At least for me, I haven't seen a top build cast like that for an upcoming movie in a little bit. So, wow, right? I mean, this is pretty crazy. And a November 20th, 2020 release date is pretty early to pick a specific date at this point. So we'll have to see if they stick to that, if it gets delayed or gets pushed up. I don't know. We'll have to see. And then Variety says production is expected to launch in the spring in Budapest and Jordan. Dune centers on the battle for control of the desert planet Arrakis. Chalamet is playing the leader Paul Atreides, who is forced to escape into the wastelands, where he eventually becomes the ruler of the nomadic tribes. Arrival, and that's what it is. Blade Runner 2049 is his other big one. Yeah, director Denis Villeneuve is helming and co-writing the script with Eric Roth and John Spice. The movie will be produced by Villeneuve, Mary Parent, and Cale Boyder, with Brian Herbert, Byron Merritt, Thomas Tull, and Kim Herbert serving as executive producers. So, obviously, if you are familiar, of course, with the material for Dune, and I believe, right, it's an original movie, right? I think that's obviously where the material comes, or it's a book, right? Or yeah, something like. Was there an original movie for it? Was there an original movie for Dune? I'm forgetting right now, but I think there was. Anyways, there's a book for it. And so, of course, this one's based off that material. And if you're familiar with the story, obviously, I mean, you're probably pretty excited for this one. I've seen a lot of people voicing kind of their excitement for this film. So, of course, you have a director like Denis Villeneuve attached, and then you have a cast like Jason Momoa, Timothée Chalamet, Javier Bardem, Rebecca Ferguson, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin, Oscar Isaac, and Zendaya. It's like, wow, right? I mean, this just, forget the story itself or forget the concept that they're working with. This cast attached to this director, I'm down for that, right? Like, that is a selling feature just in itself of this movie. And then you pair it with also the high concept type of sci-fi movie that Dune is. And this one sounds really, really great. It really does. It's one of the kind of the best movies that we know about upcoming, I would say, are one of the most promising ones coming up. So, obviously going to be high expectations, though, for this one. So, we'll have to see how it performs. As I said, Arrival, honestly, one of my favorite movies, I would say. I really do enjoy it. I just watched it last weekend again for the second time. I saw it in theaters, of course, when it came out, and then I just rewatched it. Absolutely love that movie. Jeremy Renner, Amy Adams, and just again a whole a high concept movie with an amazing twist, by the way. But a high concept movie, another sci-fi one, and of course Blade Runner 2049, another sci-fi movie. Which I think did well, right? The box office was a bit disappointing, if I remember correctly. But, of course, a lot of people that went to see it loved it. And so that was definitely up there for sure. So, again, you talk about a guy directing both of those. I know he has some other really great movies as well. So, I know, but I just kind of forget them right now. But, yeah, so you get a director like that. You get this cast. Whew, it sounds like an awesome movie. For any sci-fi fans out there, this is definitely one to check out. So anyways, Dune coming November 20th, 2020, and of course released in 3D and IMAX. Again, I'm not sure if that date will be kind of cemented in there, but Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. It just seems early to me that they would pick a specific date like that. But yeah. So anyways, really look forward to Dune as well. Again, I'm not really familiar with the source material, but like I said, the director in this cast, you know, count me in. Count me in for this one. I'm totally down for it. Love to hear your thoughts, of course, on this one for Dune. If you're familiar with the material, what are you looking forward to in this one to see adapted to the screen, of course? And yeah, are you looking forward to this movie with this cast and director? All right, so now on to our last topic for today's episode, which is a little bit of actually kind of a surprising news, a little bit interesting, you know, a little bit impactful going into the Oscars next weekend, which is the 2019 Writers Guild of America winners were announced, or I guess, you know, the awards were presented. So this article is from Playlist. Of course, you know, tons of articles, right, about the Writers Guild of America awards here that took place, I believe it was this weekend, right? Yep, this weekend. So yeah, so it was Sunday night that these awards were given out, and so let's take a look at the Playlist article, and then we'll kind of highlight the big things that came out of this award show. So, in simultaneous ceremonies in New York and Los Angeles, the Writers Guild of America handed out the winners for the 2019 WGA Awards. Many of the winners were expected. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel for example, won. But in the film categories, the top winners were major surprises. Bo Burnham's script for 8th Grade, which did not earn an Oscar nomination, beat major competition from Roma and Green Book in the original screenplay category. Oscar favorite The Favorite was not eligible for this one. And then Nicole Holofcener and Jeff Whitty took adapted screenplay for Can You Ever Forgive Me, surging past favorites including BlacKkKlansman and If Beale Street Could Talk. The former is still expected to take Oscar next Sunday. The former is still expected to take the Oscar next Sunday. In another surprise, Bathtubs Over Broadway won the documentary screenplay. And then if we want, actually, we can get into a little bit of the television stuff too here. On the television side, Barry took 2 honors, new series and episodic comedy. Mrs. Maisel won comedy series, The Americans won dramatic series, and Homeland took episodic drama. Haven't heard from Homeland in a while at the Emmys, so that one's interesting there. Okay, yeah, so then here are the nominee pools for a couple of things, so we can go over that stuff. All right, so original screenplay here at the awards, 8th Grade by Bo Burnham, as I said before, won over Green Book, A Quiet Place, Roma, and Vice. Wow, right? And I mean, Quiet Place isn't at the Oscars, but those other 3, I mean, those are 3 that easily could win the Oscar next weekend, and 8th Grade beats them out, so you know, I'm not sure exactly what that, you know, if they're trying to kind of set an example, you know, kind of saying, you know, well, we like this one and we're gonna go with it, right? You know, we're not gonna kind of conform to all the Oscar buzz and the popularity, so that might be it too. And obviously, I heard 8th Grade, really, really great written script for the movie. That's probably it's you know, maybe it's kind of best attribute about it, or the best aspect of it is the script and the story. So for sure that one, and also Elsie Fisher, really great performance in that one as well. So then adapted screenplay, as I said, Can You Ever Forgive Me wins over BlacKkKlansman, Black Panther, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. Again, I mean, Can You Ever Forgive Me? We might see that win at the Oscars, but I would kind of doubt it, especially given that BlacKkKlansman is in there. I believe If Beale Street Could Talk is at the Oscars, and A Star Is Born is also at the Oscars there. Wow. So we'll have to see. I mean, again, are these categories, you know, is Can You Ever Forgive Me now possible at the Oscars? Maybe is this, you know, previewing a little bit of surprise for the Oscars category there? I'm not sure. Maybe it's possible. But I also saw that a lot of stuff about this WGA Awards was that it demonstrated that it's pretty much wide open. Pretty much every category at this point is wide open at the Oscars. You know, maybe outside of animated series, maybe with Incredibles 2, but then again, you got Spider-Verse still in there. That's going to be in contention. So the only kind of one for sure that I kind of suspect is that Christian Bale will win Best Actor. But honestly, outside of that, I'm really torn between all of them. Greg and I did our Oscar predictions a couple episodes ago, I think, a couple weeks ago, when the nominees were announced. And we had a tough time, you know, being kind of, you know, held down to one pick for each pool of nominees. Like, it's tough this year. There's really no kind of for sure favorite in any of the categories for me except Christian Bale. But anyways, so we'll have to see if this is a little bit of a preview of something to come, preview of a little bit of surprise to come at the Oscars. We'll have to see. And then, of course, documentary screenplay, Bathtubs Over Broadway won over Fahrenheit 11.9 from Michael Moore, Generation Wealth, and In Search of Greatness. So there's only 4 nominated there for documentary screenplay. But anyways, those are essentially the top 3 categories there for the Writers Guild of America Awards. I'm not sure, was it actually like televised? I don't know. I didn't really hear much about this one at all, and of course I didn't watch it. But I wasn't even aware that it was televised. Maybe they were streaming it online or something like that, which I definitely think more award shows should do. I think that's a great thing, because it's like, for people who want to see it, make it accessible for you to stream on, YouTube or something like that, or, for example, ABC's website or something like that. And then, then it's not necessarily on TV, but the fans who want to watch a ceremony can go on and kind of live stream it. I really think that's a great thing. I'm not sure that's what happened here. I'm just saying that would be a great idea as well to go with. But anyways, so yeah, 8th grade and Can You Ever Forgive Me take home awards here at Writers Guild of America. Also, those TV ones, not a big surprise at all for those either. So anyways, love to hear your thoughts on this one. Will we see a surprise at the Oscars? And do you have any for sure categories right now? Any for sure winners that you think are kind of destined to win here at the Oscars next weekend? It's going to be a really great show. Obviously, there's no host. There's a lot of controversy about it right now. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see the actual awards and who ends up coming out on top. And that actually kind of leads into our last part of the episode here with the Oscars coming up next week and as well. So anyways, unfortunately, there was no film this week. Greg and I were actually both going to go out and see Cold Pursuit, but we didn't get a chance this weekend. And he's not here now and whatever. So, hopefully next weekend we will get a chance to see Cold Pursuit. I know Greg is also looking forward to How to Train Your Dragon 3, so he might take a look at that one this weekend. And we'll see how that goes. But anyways, yeah, so no film this weekend. Which unfortunate, because Cold Pursuit, though, to be fair, is really the only one I really want to go see right now. Happy Death Day, I still haven't seen the first one, but I am kind of interested in that as well, so I might kind of try to watch the first one and get out to the second one, but that might be a stretch. We'll have to see. But anyways, so no film this weekend, unfortunately, but I'd love to hear what you guys saw this weekend, of course. Please feel free to share that down in the comments as well. So anyways, but then to end things off then, as we always like to do, we have our question of the week. And so this is usually to, Greg and I, but also to you guys watching. Love to hear your answer to this question. Most of the time I like to keep this one open, so it's kind of, it can be anything, that you want to share, or that you think. Okay, so the question of the week this week, to end things off, is who will be the biggest winner at the Oscars this year? And so again, right, really open question. I was even thinking going into this one, I'm like, well, the fans, right? The fans, the Oscars, the biggest winner. So for sure, that could be your choice for this one as well. But for me, I'm looking at this from a little bit more of a kind of a technical standpoint, and I'm going to go with, of course, one of the nominees. So for me, the biggest winner at the Oscars this year, and we saw that Guillermo del Toro was a pretty big winner with Shape of Water last year. I believe he took home director and best picture, right? Last year? Yeah, last year. And so, we saw, sometimes we see at the Oscars, right, big winners. These movies and directors kind of alike that do really, really well, especially where, like I just said, right, you see a director and a movie do really well both at the same time. So I'm going to keep with that trend, and I'm going to choose Alfonso Cuarón. I think he's going to be the biggest winner at the Oscars this year. First of all, because he directed, he wrote, he did a cinematography too for Roma. And then, of course, Roma was nominated for Best Picture. I think he has 5 awards this Oscars for, because him and Bradley Cooper had this thing at the BAFTAs where they both got, I think it was 5 or 6 awards each. And that was a record that they both set. And so at the Oscars, I'm pretty sure Alfonso Cuarón And he was a producer too. So I think he has 5 categories that he's nominated in that he's a chance to. And so just due to that, I think he will be the biggest winner at the end of the day. And Roma taking home Best Picture, I think, is extremely likely right now. I think it's between A Star is Born, Green Book, and Roma. And so, you know, if Roma wins, I definitely would not be surprised. So he has a chance there. Writing, he has a very good chance for Roma as well. Directing, I don't know. That one's tight, but I think he also might take that one home too. So I could definitely see by this time next week, we see that Alfonso Cuarón has won 2 Oscars for Best Picture and Best Director, maybe even Best Writing too. Roma may actually just clean house here in this Oscars, but I'm not sure, right? That's again going back to I don't have a for sure in any really category this year because a lot of it is up for grabs. A lot of it is, you know, really going to be contended for. But yeah, no, I think Alfonso Cuarón's going to be the biggest winner next week. You know, no one is really close to him. Bradley Cooper, maybe, but the way things are trending right now for A Star is Born, I don't think he's going to have a ton of success. I really hope he does take home. Of course, he wasn't even nominated for Best Director, which is another story, but I really hope he takes home Best Picture for A Star is Born, but yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. I see Roma kind of edging it out right now. But anyway, so really like to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. Alfonso Cuarón, I think, is maybe the obvious one to go for. But you could also pick the movie. Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, it's kind of who, but you could also pick those involved in the movie. The Favorite. I mean, they have a ton of nominations with Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz, Olivia Colman, right? And then, of course, it's nominated for Best Picture, Best Screenplay. I'm not sure if Best Director's in there, but anyways, so we have a lot of categories where, you know, specific movies are nominated a ton. So yeah, it should be a very interesting Oscars, guys. Really looking forward to it next weekend, and of course next week's episode will be probably all about the Oscars, great, and I'll be breaking it down. So anyways, guys, that'll just about do it then for me for Let's Talk Cinema here for this week. Really thank you guys so much for watching this one. Thank you so much for tuning in live. Really do appreciate it, guys. And yeah, so hopefully we'll be back next Monday to discuss everything about the Oscars, and hopefully get back on schedule here with Let's Talk Cinema, and obviously Greg will be back to join me. But anyways, guys, once again, thank you so much for watching this one. Really do appreciate it, and we'll see you then next week. All right, guys, enjoy the Oscars. We'll see you next week. Thanks.